Come on, Steph, get your light. Hello, hello. Welcome to Fresh Chats with Dr. B. It's Thursday, y'all. You know what that means. I am chatting with some of the freshest educators in our field. I'm so excited to bring my edu friends on from week to week to chat with them about all things fresh. So this week, I have with me the most fabulous Knikole Taylor, who is going to talk to us about all the things tech. Now, this is, you got to have that go-to person where you like, look, I heard about this new thing. I don't know how to make it work. How to make it do something. And then you kind of text that friend like, I heard about this new tool, I'm trying to incorporate it. It ain't working out for me, friend. I'm about to mission aboard. And they're like, no, just hold on. And they walk you through it like your personal edutech IT help desk. And so I'm proud to say that Knikole has been that for me on several occasions, trying to be fresh but looking stale, honey, and she'll help you get right to it. So, without any further delay, I'm going to bring in my fresh guest for this week, and I'll allow her to introduce herself, tell you who she is and what she does. Welcome to the main stage, y'all, Miss Knikole. Hey,
Hey, how are you?
I'm good. How you
Hi,
doing?
I'm good. Thanks for having me here today. I love that intro. Like that made it sound like I know some stuff.
Girl,
Made
you
me made
do.
me feel smart. Well, my name is Knikole Taylor, and I've been an educator for almost the last 20 years, which is crazy. To even be able to say that. I started off as a classroom teacher, which will always and forever be my favorite job. That's a job I feel like I really shine in that role. After being a classroom teacher, I moved into a coaching role, and I think that's where we met when we were both coaches
Mm-hmm.
in the same district. And just as a coach, I just started to really fall in love with technology and the ability that technology had to just allow me to be in more places at the same time, and just to be creative and to support. And so, as a coach, I just started using it to do my job better, as well as, I started helping teachers do the same thing. And that's kind of what I've been doing for the last couple of years, just helping educators learn how to leverage technology in order to just meet students where they are and just infuse creativity. And not just, I think when I think about teaching and learning, it's not just the kids that need to enjoy it, right? Like the
Oh,
educators, like we need to
oh,
enjoy it too. So
oh, okay. So let's start there then. Since you went there, let's go ahead in through that door. Okay. So I was just reading an article last night actually and was pulling out some facts. And if I would know you was going, I would have pulled. I'm gonna pull them up while we talking. But basically, they were saying in this article they were just running the stats on this recent survey they did in January. A national organization that has over 3 million teachers in it. And basically, it said like I think the number was something very high, like maybe half of the teachers that they surveyed said that they were either trying to exit now or creating like a exit, like they're thinking about like, okay, what else can I do besides this? And I think it's important that you mention it's not just about the students when we talk about, fresh classrooms. When we talk about increasing the fun or the engagement, it's about the educators because you have to show up every day with these kids. And so
yeah.
I think it's so important that you said that. So talk to me about let's start out with teachers then. When it comes to some things that they should know or tips that you would give them specifically around if they're looking to increasing, everybody's like this post-COVID world is going crazy. Like these kids ain't the same, the school ain't the same, like it's different territory. So like what advice would you give them and what tips specifically around how technology can support them in this time?
Well, first of all, in some ways, it's good that some things ain't the same because a lot of things were not working
Uh-oh.
pre-COVID. First off, so
Okay
some
now.
things don't need to be the same. Some things don't need to go back to being the same. And one of those things that I did see that we just had to do was people had to learn how to embrace technology. I mean, kids were at home, teachers were at home. We were behind the eight ball. We should have been embracing it, right? So it was kind of a crash course,
Some
but
people had said they was embracing it, and then it was like a pop quiz. Everybody at home now. Let's see what you was doing.
And some folks failed. Some districts failed
With
because
like this, tat 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 tat.
not knowing how to log in, yeah, all that good stuff.
It was
Um,
hard.
but we did have to embrace it, right? We had to really confront what we didn't know, and we had to be willing to try new things in order to meet kids, because we were in one place and our students were in another place. And at the time I was servicing teachers, and my teachers were not, they weren't near me. The teachers that I supported, rather, they were not near me. So I think, when I think about technology, when I think about tinkering and playing and learning technology, I always think from the perspective of the learner, because I'm always going to be a learner. And so I'm looking for things that are also fun for me to to teach from, because I think the learning experience, it's a reciprocal experience. It should be a reciprocal process, right? So I'm giving a little, but I'm also getting a little. It's not just me, it's not just me having a monologue and being the center of learning. It really is a space where we all learn and we all have fun and we all share. So I would say that my number one tip is, you don't have to know all the things, right? Like you can really rock with like one good tool. Like, if you can find like one good tool, get good at it. And nine
I'm
times
with
out of
you on that.
10, yeah. And if you don't know how to use it, toss it to your kids. I toss stuff to kids all the time. And I'm like, hey, there's this thing. I know the web address. I know it does XYZ. Play around with that and come back and tell me how it works. Because
But
time,
hold on. What you're saying though is about relinquishing control, which is another thing we
yeah,
talk about in the Fresh Classroom. Because what you're saying requires a teacher to have to be able to have some level of improvisation, and that, like, I'm going to give students this window of time to tinker. I like when you say tinker. That's such a tech word. To tinker, explore, like to just go and see what they can figure out with specific things. I love that.
yeah, because I think most teachers want to be creative, right? Like, we want, but teachers don't have time. That's what the last couple of years, as working in ed tech, that's the one thing that's my job. So I have the time to go find the tool and play with the tool and go, pilot it with kids or train teachers over it. I mean, if you just don't have the time a lot of times in a day. So just even tossing it to the student and saying, hey, can you figure this out? Or, hey, maybe some tech experts in the classroom, and then you can teach us how to do it, and you can learn from them. That
Yeah.
makes it fun.
Yeah, I love the idea of just look, master one, and because there was a time when I remember when PowerPoint, some people were like, say, man, we ain't fooling with that PowerPoints and stuff. We just, what I'm saying, we straight on this. And when I started teaching, like, we would using PowerPoint for presentations and stuff, but like we still had overhead projectors, and I would use them. If I was in the classroom right now, I would still use an overhead projector if I could find something. And
Where you gonna find it
I would be projecting on multiple walls. People didn't want them anymore. So I would take
at?
the overhead projectors. I would have a group of students that were working, like three of them on something. They would be writing something as a group, and they would be projecting on one wall, the other wall. So as I'm walking around, they collaborate, slide, they look. You know what I'm saying? So we see this progression with technology at every stage resistance, right? So I love the idea that you're saying they should just focus on mastering the one thing that increases their engagement and
Mhm.
getting comfortable enough with that such that they're not just overwhelming. I feel like some people are just overwhelmed. It was so many things at once with COVID. Like, I need to master this, then this, then this. And so share with us some tools. So you told me the other day about some that I shared on Instagram that teachers are really leaning into and seeing students responding to well in their classrooms.
So I'm gonna start by just talking about some. I like tools that allow you to be creative, right? That
Mhm.
allow you to go in and create. Because on one end, it's great for educators like me who want things to look good, but that's not my ministry. I'm not a graphic designer. That's just not the gift that the Lord
Yeah.
gave me. So I lean heavily on tools like Adobe or Canva.
Mhm.
Love those tools because they, on one hand, they help me make things look really good, but then on the other hand, like, I can take one tool like Adobe. You can make a graphic. you can make a web page, and you can make a video from the same site. So it's like one tool that you can use multiple ways. So I could take that one tool and I can allow kids to demonstrate their understanding in multiple ways. Go make a poster that shows that you understand this vocabulary word, or go make a video that that retells this scene in history, or go make I don't know, or go make a comic. There's just so many things that I can do with just that one tool. And Canva is similar in that it's a graphic design tool again, where the teacher, you want that nice header on your Google Classroom, or you want that nice virtual background. You can go on there and just find a template and make it nice for yourself, or you can also put it in the hands of the students and say, hey, I need you to use this tool to demonstrate your mastery or your understanding. We could put away like the cardboard poster, like we could put that away and give the kids, because you don't want to grade all those no way. You don't want all those on the floor. You don't want them on your floor.
Drag all that stuff. I'm with you. I'm with you on that. That makes sense. And I use Canva all the time, just in my business. But what I realized is I was going in to do some interventions, and dang, I wish I would have thought of this. I would have pulled up the flyer. I created so I had students that were going to come to me because they had another round of STAR testing coming up. And these were seniors who had been failing since their freshman year. So they have retested and retested. They already hate this writing test. They're close to graduation. It's like do or die for them. And I remember getting ready to prep up for those interventions. I didn't work at the school. I was going in as an interventionalist, contracting with a district. And I just remember thinking, like, how can I take this grueling process for them and turn it into something that could be packaged well? And I went in Canva and created a flyer that said, join us for writing happy hour, this such and such date in this classroom from this time to this time. And and I told them, that they had to be invited to come to the party or whatever, to the happy hour, to writing happy hour. Like, what's this? And so when they got to the door, like, I had music playing with my speaker. Like, some students that came to the door, like, couldn't get in. I had a list of names. I'm like, no, you're not on my list. So the people that did come to the door, whose names were on the list, I was like, okay, you can come on in to our party. And like, just creating an atmosphere started for me with just the graphic image. We could have sent them a typed letter from the school saying, you have to report to interventions because you failed the test again. Or we could send them this flyer that almost looked like it was a party. Right. That I just literally went into Canva, picked a template, and just put my letters, changed the wording in the flyer, and the design was already made. And I asked them to print it in color to spark some interest. And it's just that little piece of creativity. Of course, when they came in, my lesson had to be on point. But getting them there was an experience that, I could use a tech tool to just kind of take something from something bland to build some suspense, make it intriguing. And that just came to me as you were talking about how to use Canva.
And see, again, it goes back to, it's a lot more fun for me as an educator to say, meet me at writing happy hour, than it is for me to say, meet me at writing tutorials. I don't want to be in tutorials either.
Nobody wants to go to tutorials.
I don't want to be in there, but I do want to be. It just creates an atmosphere, right? It creates an atmosphere for fun learning as well. Yeah, even hearing you talk about it, I'm like, yeah, I would definitely. Yeah. I would stay late to do the happy hour with joy.
Yeah, like, there's gonna be some food in that.
Yes,
we had a fresh lesson created that was gonna pull them in and pique their interest. Before that, you gotta get kids there, and especially in the secondary level, they have a choice. It's not like, I know some elementary schools, they have a challenge with that too, but some high school students, they can just be like, peace out, I'm in my car and I'm leaving. I'm not staying. So it's like, how can we get more creative? And I think sometimes we have to depend on those tech tools to do it. So for me, it was that tech tool, creating that flyer, and even making sure I had a streaming service that I could use at the school. Like, music is a catch-all that we teach in a fresh classroom. And so maximizing that. But anywho, okay.
Yeah, that's a mood. That music is a mood changer.
Man, it sets the mood, man. You just you just have to do it. So that's one of the things we talk about fun that we start with is how can I use leverage music to up the fun factor in my classroom. So
Mm-hmm.
but anywho, so when we switch gears in and think about students, one thing when it comes to fun in the classrooms that we teach teachers in our workshops is that they should consider having technology that students can control, such that it's not all about the teacher, what I'm presenting, what I'm creating. So I love the way that you said, like, you could even have them go into Canva and create something, or in Adobe, they're creating something that's demonstrating their mastery and their understanding. I absolutely love that. Are there any other tech tools that you would suggest in terms of, some people are checking out cows because they might not be one to one. A lot of more people are one to one now, since COVID. So, what are some things that are like student controlled that you would suggest people can lean into?
Well, I'm glad you asked because I was thinking about Kami.
Okay.
Kami. So when I first learned about Kami, I was a grad student years ago looking for a way to annotate articles while I was working on my master's. But
Mm-hmm.
what I love about Kami is so you can take a PDF and you can annotate, right? Kids can go in, they can add their annotations, they can highlight, but they can also like add comments. They can also like type in comments. They can add voice notes. They can add video notes. Like it's like a mashup of like Flipgrid and Adobe. I mean, or yeah, Adobe like a PDF.
Okay.
So I like that tool in that once you introduce Kami to students and you give them the assignment and you give them the directions, they can just go. Like they can add images, they can
Mm-hmm.
screen share to show you their work and add that on there. So I love tools like that also. Going back to like Adobe, the graphic, Spark page post and video, where you just
Mm.
put them on the site and then they decide, okay, I
Right.
feel like a video today, or I feel like I just want to type my answer, or I feel like I want the teacher to hear my voice because I don't feel like typing today. Now the assignment doesn't change. They don't get to decide, if they're going to tap out of the assignment, but they do have some autonomy on how they want to
Oh, hold
demonstrate that
on
they.
now. Hold on. You talking about students having autonomy. Now let's come on with it. Now, this is a whole nother conversation because I hear a lot of times some of my educator friends, that really want students to have more autonomy in terms
Mhm.
of taking responsibility for turning in assignments, getting work done, doing what I've assigned to you. But I always, in my experience has been, let me say this, that when I gave them more autonomy, gave them more choices, more options, they were more likely to
Mhm.
really take ownership of
Yep.
the products that they produce, right? So it's different to say, I don't give students any choice. This is the one thing you have to do. This is how you need to do it. This is how you turn it in. This is the mode that you use. And then to say, well, why don't y'all do it and take ownership? I think it's so important, especially in fresh classrooms, to hear you say students will buy in and have more ownership when we allow them to have some autonomy in the process. Like, here's what we're learning, here's the input. Now for the output, you're going to show me how you mastered it, and you can do it in one of 5 different ways.
Right.
Take your pick, and produce what you want to move for. You want to do this, you want to do that. I think for some teachers, that level of autonomy and allowing students to choose, like, have too many choices, too much loosey goosey, it's like that's too much. I ain't got time to even cook all that up.
But you know what? So I know that's not even why we're here tonight, but
Uh-oh.
I feel like a lot of times too, it's hard for teachers to give kids things that they're not getting. So if teachers are
Mm,
sitting through,
girl, if I had an applause,
but look, but if I'm sitting through, if my administrator, if my instructional lead, if I'm sitting through their stale PD that is
ooh,
telling me like this is the one way
ooh,
that you got to do it, ain't no
ooh,
choices, ain't no options.
shots
How
fired.
how do you go back and do that for students? So I'm really big on if I'm facilitating PD, I'm giving you what I want you to go back and take to the
Yeah.
kids. So it's like we've just learned this thing. Here are the 3 to 5 choices. You know what I mean? Show me what you know. Because I feel like a lot of times that's the burden that we put on teachers, right? It's like, I'm not going to show you what it looks like. I'm not going to give you the opportunity to experience it, but you already don't have time. Go learn it, go figure it out, go do it with your kids. When a better approach is our professional development, like some fresh PD too, right? That allows them to have those experiences.
But you know what I've seen too now that I'm listening to you say that is like there's this one particular activity they do in the Fresh Classroom workshop when I'm listening to you say that where we do this jigsaw kind of activity, and the last part of it is they have to decide as a group how they're going to teach the rest of the room what they just learned in their particular part, right? And so I tell them, you decide as a group, and you can use anything that's in the room to facilitate how you teach everybody else. And they're like, well, can I use this? I'm like, if you see it in the room, well, can I create? And so just having it be open-ended, Nicole, when I tell you I've done this PD across the country, I've had teachers create a poem based, mind you, they're teaching each other about culturally responsive pedagogy. I've had them create poems, raps, skits. I've had people interpret like a whole little skit play where they set up props. I had a music team one time literally bring in their instruments, tambourines, like they made a whole song to teach everybody about. And the level of creativity, when I tell you, surpasses what even in my mind as the teacher in that exchange, I wouldn't even have been able to think of do this and do that. People make different things on the computer with animations. I don't even know how to do that. So I, as a teacher, would have been too limited to even give you that as an option to demonstrate what you learned. And so I love that when you're saying that, it's making me think of that, because I tell them, whatever you can think of, like whatever you have access to, whatever you know how to do. Can I use my computer? I'm like, yeah, you can use your computer. Can I use a Post-it note? Sure, you can use anything you see. And they come up with so much more. And I love that to hear you say we have to set that precedent for teachers, because a lot of times we're telling them to do stuff, but in a sit and get situation where they don't even see it happening for them. Nicole,
they haven't experienced it. They haven't experienced. I learned that the hard way. Now, when I was a coach, just learning it the hard way, because I started off as a coach. That's doing as we're taught to do, looking at the data, telling the teacher, hey, looking at the data, these are the things that you're great at. These are the areas of opportunity. This is what we're going to do. And then I was exposed to a book that talked about personalizing professional development, went back to all my teachers and said, yeah, those plans, throw that in the trash. You tell me what you want to do. I just said, hey, you tell me what you want to do at the end of this school year. What kind of teacher do you want to be? I can make it. I mean, I can bring the data in. I mean, if that's what you want your kids to be able to multiply and divide fluently, then okay, I'm going to bring the data in and show you where your strengths will help you with that and show you your areas of opportunity. So I just think teachers, it just helps to strengthen it. And what happens is if we give teachers great learning experiences, that in turn, they're going to take that back to students and give them the same.
Look, I'm trying to pull up this on Facebook, pull up our talk, because I want to see, sometimes I can't see the questions on here. Unless they're coming through LinkedIn, I can only see the ones that are coming through LinkedIn while we're on here. But that's so good. So what's the name of that book? If anybody is interested in checking out that book, because they're leading teachers as well.
It is called Personalized PD, Flipping. Let me see. And he has a second book, Personalized PD, Flipping Your Professional Development by Jason Bretzman.
I love that. Personalized PD. Okay. So if anybody is more interested in that, please check that out. Now, this is the platform where I give all the plugs. Anything you drop, I'm gonna be like, now clarify, where can the people find that? Okay. So I appreciate that. But no, so a couple of things. So I've had a couple people drop some Principal Stevenson said, I love Poster My Wall. It's a go-to tool that she uses. I've never heard of that before. So if y'all are on here looking for some tips, Poster My Wall is a go-to tool. Friday Night Live versus Saturday School. Oh, I think
Oh, I've heard of that. I've heard of that before.
Okay, hold on now. Now I saw them do this before, and I was like, Lord, no, please don't make it.
I know who Principal Steve. I know who that is now since you mentioned the name.
Principal
Yeah,
Steve.
Isn't that more fun?
On Friday night. I just can't work on Friday night. I can't do it.
No, but it's not work. It's fun. It's like they really well, from the images that I've seen, it's a gamified learning experience.
Okay. If it's gamified, okay, but don't sign me up if I'm a teacher. Maybe one time this semester, but I'm not coming every Friday. Okay, but that's fair. If it's fun, that's fair. But you know, I'm still on this other, and we're gonna do another night. This is a separate chat, but I've really been an advocate for this 4 days with students on and 1 days with student off that some of the districts are doing. Now, Jasper, I just heard it going in that direction, but there's some other districts that have been doing it. And I'm trying to get one person from one of those districts on to talk about how it's been working out in their district, where they literally go, the kids go 4 days, and then on Fridays, the teachers prep any PD and all that stuff. Like, it's amazing. But that's another chat for another week. I'll come back, you hear?
I would have loved that as a classroom teacher, though.
Man, I mean, to have a whole day to prep and plan and like be ready for the week, like I would have been. That's what my Sundays were. Like my Sundays was my prep day.
Mine used to be Saturday. When I first started teaching, I would go to my parents' house because my dad taught for a long time. I would go to my parents' house from like 10 to 10 to like plan and grade and all of that.
Oh, 10.
Yeah, it was like all day.
Oh, see, okay, now we're gonna talk the last part of our chat. We're gonna talk about tech tools to help teachers not be grading papers all weekend and all night long. So one thing, let me share with this. Principal Stevenson also said they use something called Class Kick at her school that they love. Somebody else was on the Amen train about get up and move around during PD. They don't want to sit and get.
No.
I love that teacher transference of autonomy. Nikki says from teacher to student. We with you, Nikki. We're trying to get there. Yes, play games. Yes. Okay. So I want to make sure I didn't miss if anybody had a question while you on here. But let's talk about this. So that was one thing for me I had to learn. I was teaching ELA, so I would literally schedule their essays to be due on weekends, and then like shut my weekend, my social plans would go around. It's like, no, I can't do that this weekend because I got essays. Oh, child, but I learned after a while. So let's save somebody. It might be some new teachers on here. I'll share one thing that I did. And if you have something, please by all means share. So one thing that I started doing was I had a hardcore spreadsheet, kind of looked like a grade book almost, but it was something that I just carried around. Everybody used the computer now, but I printed it on my little clipboard. I would just walk around, and when they had their opportunities where they would be doing their whatever you call demonstration of learning or mastery or whatever, I would just make time to walk around. By the time I got swift at this, by 3 or 4, I was pretty swift at this, right? And I would make sure that I'm checking different things as I'm going along, like throughout the week. You know what I'm saying? I'm keying them by the end of the week. I'm done. But I got better about making sure I left them time enough to demonstrate mastery in the classroom, and that I was swift enough with my small grouping to get around to measuring their understanding as we went along. Even if it was something like a sheet of paper they had, I'm going to write the grade on it right then. And so I had to get a lot swifter with that. And so I'm actually saying the opposite of a technology tip. I'm saying I use hardcore paper.
That's good. That's good.
Then they got a little advanced when I was leaving that particular district, and they started having a thing where you could scan their little answer sheets and stuff. And now they have all those kind of tech tools, you know. So I was a little jealous, but go ahead, Nicole. I know you got something better than me.
So, and I always Plickers. You're talking about Plickers. I was like, I always forget the name of that. Yeah, Plickers, where you can just hold it up and then do. I love things that grade for me. So I wanted to grade for me, and then when I get to the grades, then I know how I need to go back and support students, right? So my go-to to grade for me is always going to be, I'm going to start with Google Forms, because not only will Google Forms grade for you, but you can also have it give kids feedback. So if they get it right, you can like say, awesome, like they didn't got, this right, send them somewhere else. Let them do something more challenging. If they get it wrong, you can say, "Ooh, you got this wrong. Go to this website and practice, 5 questions before you come back and try again." So you can
Mhm.
also differentiate your support based on
Yeah.
how the student is doing.
And
I
also
heard you
as
talk.
a pre-assessment with the Google Forms, when they get one right or one wrong, I also like that as a way to group. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Mhm.
okay, I have X amount of students that miss number one. We're working on this at station one. This is station two. This is, you know what I mean? To set up some boundaries around how I'm going to group them, but immediately, like, so it doesn't take, all day me grading a whole bunch of stuff from the day before to figure out who's going to which group.
No, I had time for that with one child. I could give up my weekend, but once I had three, uh-uh. I couldn't do it. I couldn't. My schedule wouldn't allow it. So again, like you said, like using something that grades for you, and then that feedback lets me know as a teacher, because we're only going to assess to make moves. We're not just grading stuff for it to be graded, right? I'm only assessing so that I know as a teacher what my next moves need to be. So Google
You
Forms is
need to say
always
that
great.
again. You need to say that again. I'm not just grading just to be grading. I'm grading to
Nah,
see what you know and what you don't know.
yeah,
And
yeah.
I'm not grading on behavior. This is another thing I'm gonna say, but just because you
Oh
said that,
no.
I'm
Oh
not grading on
no.
behavior. I'm not grading on you get on my nerves, so that's the F for
No.
that paper, and you can try.
Or you
I can
talking
give
too
a
much,
punishment
you
grade.
talking too much minus you talking too much minus 10. Please don't do that. That's
Okay,
the worst.
all right.
That's the
Yeah,
worst. So
let's not do
I
that.
like I'm also thinking about other tools that kids can learn a little bit and then assess, things like Nearpod, where you can put
Mm-hmm,
your presentation in the slideshow. You can put
mm-hmm.
videos in there, and so they
Right.
can take a couple of slides. And this is something where you can show whole group, or the kids can do on their own. They can learn a little, and
Didn't
then
they buy vocabulary too? Didn't Nearpod? I
yes,
think
they did
Nearpod
acquire.
acquired
Yep, they did.
vocabulary.
So you can even their assessments too. They have so many different
Mhm.
types of assessments. So from matching to games, and so you could easily, I mean, do a whole assignment and let kids take control of their own learning, where they learn a little and then they assess as well. So I like Nearpod for for that as well. Anything that's going to be interactive, that's going to allow kids to be, I don't want kids to wait on me. I don't want them, because even those tools too, they can see what they've got right, and what they need to improve on. I don't want to be the kink right in the learning cycle. So that the kid has to wait on Miss Taylor to grade it. I gotta wait on Miss Taylor to grade it. I gotta wait on Miss Taylor to give it back to me. I gotta wait on, no, you got it wrong. Here, this is something it's already embedded, it's already in there
Yeah,
for you to go in and get what you need.
that makes sense. I love that. I love that. And so I think the last thing I want to mention is New Zealand or New Zealand. Some people,
Mhm,
depending on where
mhm,
I go, call it something different. Um, but that's one thing that I found, and I shared in my workshops, and they don't pay me. It's not like a sponsorship, but it was one thing that I found to be just very helpful, because they drop every day like different current events, and they publish these articles, and across all the content areas, they drop these articles, and they're already scaled by reading levels. And I just really, if you've never checked them out, Newsella is worth a look at. That's the wrong one. Newsella is worth a look at, and I would say check it out, because they keep the articles fresh and hot. So every day, well, it was free last time I checked, but they pump out these articles that you can use in class to keep your content relevant, as you're looking for things. So I'm always telling teachers, we don't have to recreate the wheel. There's so many tech tools
mhm,
out here,
mhm.
and people making millions of dollars to make all this stuff for teachers to use. Some of it is irrelevant. I'm gonna say this.
Say
It's
that.
not relevant to my kids, don't connect, but some of it is.
Yep,
So
yep.
I always like to share that one
And you
too.
just need one. Think about, and I always think about, so too, like maybe last year Nearpod was great for the students that I had, maybe those students were, they could work well on their own. I could give them the assignment and I could pull them. Maybe that's not what you're working with this year. Maybe you need a different tool. So think about where your kids are. Think about your learning style and really just choose, really vet your tool. And you really need one because it's easy to be bombarded. And that's confusing for you. It gets real confusing for the students, for them to have 10 tools that they're using, within a week's time. So
Lord
really,
knows they gonna remember the password or the login.
baby, don't.
To look it up.
Don't.
Miss, I can't find my parents.
What's the address? Where we going?
What? Write it down. Yeah, I remember.
No.
I remember that. But anyway, I think that's a great note to end on. I love your advice that they should just pick one thing to really get into, to master, and not get overwhelmed with the technology. That's the biggest plug right there. So if you are here and you come on Thursdays and you plug in with us for Fresh Chats, let me know in the comments wherever you're viewing what we can do to support you. Leave your comment below. If there's a topic that you would prefer us to talk about, something that could help you in your practice, let us know what topic you'd like to talk about, and we will book people to come on and talk based on what your needs are. We'll chat with people that can help us understand, enlighten us, give us some tools, y'all, because it's hard out here and we're not trying to go along, okay? So I have a couple announcements, things that you don't want to miss because Mr. Cole, don't leave. I'm going to tell them where they can find you now. All right. The first thing is you want to know that we have summer and fall dates now available for professional development workshops. So if your school is going to go into PD mode this summer in June and July, you don't want to miss an opportunity to book Fresh Classroom. We do half day and full day trainings, and we'd love to come to your campus. We also have our own standalone workshops coming to Dallas and Houston, Texas this summer. So those dates will be coming soon. If you haven't already joined our Fresh Fam newsletter, join that because we got some giveaways for Teacher Appreciation Week, y'all. We're going to be breaking teachers off, and you don't want to miss it. Okay. The next thing that you want to know is that you can get our book, The Fresh Classroom, Why Culturally Relevant Education Can't Wait, at our website if you haven't already. That's thefreshclassroom.com. So I always want to make sure that y'all are in the know. I want y'all to rest assured I've been reaching out and building some partnerships for these giveaways for Teacher Appreciation Week. And we're going to break y'all off. We're going to take care of teachers. Okay. So thank y'all so much again for joining me. I want you to always remember that we have the ability to empower or disempower students with every interaction every single day. My prayer is always that you will empower the students that you serve and that you will always keep your classroom freaking fresh. All right. Nicole, tell the people before you do that, where can they find you, learn more about you? Y'all know she be out here in this Twitter sphere.
You know what? You can usually find me on any social media platform. Just look for my name, Knikole. My mom and daddy, they love me enough to give me a unique name. And so if you look up Knikole, you're probably going to find me, Knikole Taylor. I am more active on Twitter. So I usually hang out there. I would love to connect with you. If you have any edtech questions, feel free to shoot them my way as well. Thank you so much, Dr. B, for this opportunity.
Thank you for coming and breaking us off some of that wisdom, some of the edtech knowledge. We appreciate you. See, my alarm going to keep telling me it's time to take my child to the bathtub, honey. All right, then. Until next time, I'll see you later. Have a good one.